All right. What up, team? Welcome to a little thing we're calling Game and Yap and Game. I kind of just want to do like some concentrated topics and just talk about them for a bit while I just mindlessly play a game. Yeah, take you guys along with me. Just kind of on what I'm thinking. And honestly, as I say, kind of mindless gaming, that's actually what I want to be the main topic of this video. So I just want to talk about like mindless gaming, and I hope it doesn't come off like a negative thing, because it isn't at all. And that's not necessarily like, yeah, it's not even why I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it just because I feel like it's a subtle separation in video games that I think we as players do. We categorize certain games as certain things. And I don't know. I just feel like I haven't really heard somebody touch on it. And again, it's a subtle thing. It's nothing of like crazy importance, but I think it's interesting enough to talk about how, like, we do it and we make these subtle separations in the games we play. And yeah, it just kind of goes without notice, I feel like. So, I mean, what I'm really talking about is, when you play a game and you're able to do other things while playing that game, whether that be, me right now, like, me talking, and talking about a certain specific subject and like staying on topic. But like a big thing is like, like watching a video, I think like I used to do that a bunch. Excuse me. I used to do that a bunch, like growing up gaming. I would like watch a video and then, like play a game while I'm watching that video. And I think part of me feels like that like kind of corrupted how I played video games. And that seems super negative, but it's not, it's not. I think it was just something that I came to the realization of, like, certain games you just can't do that with, certain games you can't, mindlessly play them. You have to like sit down and really like, dig your teeth into what's going on, and pay attention and stuff. And, I think this is like in a bunch of other entertainment forms as well, right? Like you've heard of like, the idea of like a comfort show, right? Like in a comfort show, you might throw that on while you're cooking or while you're doing, like some Photoshop work, or, you're typing up an essay. You'll throw those comfort shows on just to have, right, in the background. And when I first made the statement of like, I feel like it kind of ruined other gaming for me. It's now almost like, think about going back to another show, and I don't know, maybe you get like a little antsy or something because you're just like used to doing other stuff. And maybe that doesn't translate, super well, because I don't know if I could recall a time that's genuinely happened to me. But I will say like that show now, right, is very much a comfort show, and like I don't just throw it on and sit down, and then do nothing. I will say like I'm kind of always doing something while while that's going on, and so that's what I feel about. Oh wow. That's what I feel, mindless gaming is kind of like. And it's almost, maybe there's a better word for it, so if you guys think of a better word for it, like let me know. Because I wouldn't go as far as calling it comfort gaming, because I don't think it is comfort gaming. I think, it kind of, is, but I don't think, I feel like comfort gaming is like a whole thing in its own, and I feel like you could still really like, that be the only thing you're doing at a time, is just playing that one cozy game that you feel like playing. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of want to like field the question and like kind of get it out to you guys and get your guys' thoughts on it. Like, what games do you feel like are, in your library that you just like mindlessly play? And how do you feel about that? I feel like it's like, if you play video games, you have a game like this, So for me, now this is the second episode I'll do of, what I'm calling episodes, but it's really just me talking about kind of whatever I want to talk about while playing video games. But, for me, that's going to be like the main type of game that I'll play while I do these videos, is I will, I'll talk about something and then I'll just be kind of playing a game without having too much attention on it, and I mean, I think like, dude, like all props to these streamers who could play like these massive story games and, still hold a different conversation while taking in, all of these like story points and stuff. I think it's super interesting, that they're able to do that. But yeah, so like, yeah, I like just recently started playing Hogwarts. You probably won't see me playing Hogwarts while I do one of these talks, just because Hogwarts is like a good amount of cutscenes and a good amount of story, and so you want to be able to like take all that in while you're playing it. Now, like maybe some Hogwarts open world, I don't really know. I haven't got that far in the game, but maybe, and so I think like a lot of open world games can turn into like a mindless game if you have like some subtle things that you could do in that open world, if you're just going around grinding, or in GTA, like I like to go around on the BMX and just like rip some tricks on the BMX bike. But yeah, I think a definite new one is going to be playing the new Skate. Super hyped to play the new Skate. I know it's gotten some rough feedback from the community. Wow, that was a brutal broadside. It's gotten some rough feedback, right? I will say that. I think just give it time. That's all I could say. Just give it time, play it. It's tough that people just hate on stuff just so quickly out of the gate, But yeah, kind of back to like the main thing, of this like aspect of mindlessly playing something, it's super interesting. Yeah, like I was saying, like I started doing it kind of when I was a kid. There used to be this feature called Xbox Snap back on when the Xbox One very first came out. And you could like put this little sidebar of content on your while you played whatever game, and so you used to be able to do it. You might still be able to do it. I don't know. I don't play Xbox anymore. Now that I switched over to PC, but you could pull up the Netflix. You pull up Netflix on the side of your screen while you played a game. I remember I used to rip Titanfall 2 and 90210. Like, dude, if it doesn't get more insane than that, the content overload was wild. Getting the plot of 90210 while playing Titanfall 2 multiplayer is probably one of the most ridiculous combinations of stimulus overloads ever. You got people throwing down in 90210, some sort of scandal going on, probably best left unsaid. And then you got Titanfall 2. I'm ripping around as this pilot, then hopping into a mech and fighting other mechs. Probably the most insane combination of content ever. But yeah, so I definitely started there. It definitely started there. And I remember when I had first gotten my PC, and this was like recently, because I've been such a multiplayer fiend for so long, and it's been like in the past couple years I've started going back into, like some heavy single player games. Man, it was not until recently that I started to realize, I was like, every time I booted up a single player game, I started like, there's like a part of me that wanted to like boot up YouTube right next to it. And I think it was just really interesting. And, you know, for certain games, like I was saying, like I just had to tell myself like, no, like let me just like, let me lock in and like just let me get sucked into this story mode and like play this game for the immersion, you know. And it did not take long. Like that corrected itself so quick. You know, now I play games without watching anything, you know, like just exactly like I used to. And I don't know, it was just, yeah, it was a super weird thing that I had to like correct in my head. It's kind of like sitting down to eat while watching like a YouTube video. Like it's instinct for us to pull out a YouTube video, right? But like, I don't know, maybe it's, if you wanted to appreciate the food a bit more, maybe you wouldn't do that or something, you know? And I think that goes into like my next thing I want to say about like the mindless gaming. I don't think, you know, like, you know, talk about Skater XL, you know, like what I'm playing right now. You know, it's not that Skater XL doesn't have me fully, you know, like immersed or whatever. You know, I don't think that's like I don't think of that as like a negative thing, you know. Like I'm fully still backing, you know, these games that you could play, that you could just kind of mindlessly play. I think there's like a beauty in it, honestly. So like as a game developer myself, like I think it's really interesting that games are able to scratch that itch while others kind of can't, right? Others kind of need the story. They kind of need the background. But with a game like this, we would call it like intrinsic design, right? So the intrinsic design is like, I just want to keep playing to just get better. It's like playing the guitar or something. Compared to like Skyrim, there is intrinsic design, right, of how it feels. It feels good to play. But also there's this extrinsic design of Skyrim to be a higher level, you know, to get more spells, you know, and stuff like that. And there's almost a beauty to Skater XL that you don't need any of that. I can just sit here and play this game again and again, and I feel like I'm mastering something, you know. And so I think there's really something to be said about games that you can do this with, because it's really impressive to hit that mark as a game developer. It is really impressive. I've been playing this game. It's called Everything Skateboard. I played this game called True Skate. I was gonna say everything skateboarding related. Yeah, I don't mean for that, but yeah, I play this game True Skate on my phone, and the intrinsic design of it is like amazing. I'm just like, I play it so much because it's almost like my fidget spinner, but I'm terrible at it, and it's amazing. And there's like almost no objectives in the game. You just skate around and you try to get better at skating. It's just so interesting. But yeah, you know, I think it is a really interesting thing where I just feel like we didn't, you know, there isn't really like a separation in the gaming community. You know, like obviously we have genres, right? And you'd call this like a simulator, right? You'd call Skater XL like a simulator game. But I think there's this like word that we're kind of missing out on, and I don't know what exactly it is. Maybe you guys could tell me. But like, you know, I feel like there's this, yeah, like there's this term where we could explain a game that you play passively, you know. Wow, I really thought I had that. And I think it's a really interesting, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, being a game developer, I'm starting to look at a lot more stuff in like a game development sense. And like from a game development sense, it's just a really interesting thought, I feel like, that some games just become this almost like you're flexing a muscle. Like it is just something you do, you know, like, you know, you can walk and talk. Like you can play this game and talk, and you can play this game and do other things. And the games that can hit on it is just so interesting, you know, and maybe that's the appeal of simulator games, you know. But I don't think it is. I think it's something different than that. You know, I think simulator games, they scratch a completely different itch. I just think, Skater XL falls under that, right? Because you're like simulating life or whatever. But I don't think that's, excuse me, I don't think that's fair, just calling it a simulator game. It's just this like intrinsic flex of like design, and it's so interesting. It's the fact that it's just like replicating real life, and it's you could do it while doing other things is such an interesting thought loop. I think, I don't know, thought loop, that doesn't really make sense, but yeah, I don't know. So that's why I just came in today, and I was like, kind of just want to film a video and just yap, while I play a video game. I don't know if you guys, like this like style of video. I'm gonna keep them short. I'm gonna keep them like 20 to 30 minutes. If you guys like this style of video, I'll just keep them going. The main thing is, I'm just gonna keep them unedited. Oh, we got some speed. I'm gonna keep them unedited, and just pretty raw cut. So therefore I have to try to refrain from swearing and random events popping off in the background. But yeah, the main thing being they're just going to be unedited because, I just recently started up new at a game studio. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe now's the time to say, I started at this game studio called Bender Games. We're working on a title called Sage. Super, super excited to be working on it. I kept saying I was going to do a video on it, but honestly, everything is still in development with the game, and I want to share some stuff about it when everything's ready and when the team's ready. We have some awesome stuff going on over there, though. So hop over in the Discord for Sage. Come kick it with the Frog team. And we'll have a playtest soon. We have playtests like every month. So if you hop in there, you just grab a key for the game, and yeah, we'll hook you up, and you guys could play in the next playtest. Yeah, we're doing them all the time. They're not limited. So, the whole point of it is to, stress test the game and, see where everything's at. But, yeah, that's where the time has been for the past, few months. That's where all of my time has been with Bender Games and working on Sage. And I mean, just shout out to those guys. They're doing some freaking amazing work, and I'm so blessed to be on that team and to be working with them and to be learning every day, from them. It's seriously an honor. Yeah. So, shout out to the Bender Games guys, Brian, Austin, John, Daniel, all of you guys. Huge shout outs to you guys. But yeah, so that's where I've been at recently. And, with that, I have, I've been spending a lot of time there because, now Sage has turned into my own, and it's my own baby, and I want to take care of it, and I want to make it the best possible, little baby it could be. So, I got a lot of time going into it, and I'm just like so hyped. That was such a hideous grind. I'm just so hyped that, to be working on a game, and then a game that I'm like proud of and want to be working on, with such a good group of people. So yeah, nonetheless, yeah, just wanted to say that. Shout out to them. Shout out to Sage. Yeah, cannot wait to share more on that with you guys. But yeah, I need to get my content out another way, and I'm testing this out as a format, and maybe, if this hits and I like doing this, I want to start doing content like this as well. But definitely, let me know how you guys feel about, like this type of content. If you like it, if you don't like it, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's here to stay. Like, regardless of the feedback, I just, YouTube has been like a big place for me to just put out content, and like it just feels good to put out content and to create, and hopefully this isn't just, some internet slop, right? Like I want to try to, talk about some things that, that have some substance to them. I know it's not like the craziest topic, talking about like mindless gaming, but I don't know, I think it's interesting. And I think, that's what we're just going to keep talking about, is things that, I'm interested in, that you guys are interested in as the community. Excuse me. Sorry, I just drank a smoothie, so it's got me rumbling. But yeah, also just get me back in front of the camera. I mean, there's so many things, that this series is just gonna let me kind of like flex my muscle, I guess, of posting on YouTube and stuff, and to just get back into it, But yeah, I want to kind of get back into the subject really quick before I just wrap this video up. And I think, the main thing that, I want to touch on about this topic, right, is that I hope people don't, because I know other people are getting this feeling as well, right? So, you play one game and you watch videos during it, and then you go play another game and you're like, damn, I kind of want to put another video on. And this almost kind of goes hand in hand with how people say, like, oh, how do I stop being bored of games so quick? I feel like it's because, you have to realize games release, like, I mean, reward. Games release reward. I'm trying to avoid the use of dopamine, because dopamine is an intricate, I don't know, sort of chemistry thing, and I don't actually know that much about it at all. So I'm trying to refrain from using that word. So honest, but for lack of better words, I will use it here. Games give off dopamine at different times and at different rates and at different levels. And we could substitute dopamine with rewards, because as a player, you like rewards. It's just what you like. And so like with Skate here, like the reward is, just landing tricks, right? But games give it off at different times. And as the player, you have to be patient. And so if you really want to give a game a shot and you feel like you get disappointed, just give it more time. Just give it more time, because I'm sure it will pay off. You're just not used to the rate at which it's giving you rewards. But the more you play it, the more you will become accustomed to what those kind of rewards are. And yeah, I think that's such a big thing that us as players need to, come to understanding. And that's honestly like what why I want to talk about it is, is because I came to this realization, and hopefully, this could find somebody and they'd be like, damn, you know what? Like, I did just get off of a 6-month like grind of Valorant. And then I went to go play Death Stranding, and I couldn't even give Death Stranding 20 minutes. And it's like, yeah, Kojima's a bit of a different developer than Riot, and Valorant is a bit of a different game than Death Stranding. So you have to be, willing to wait for its payoff, basically. It's the same thing with every other form of entertainment as well, tell me if I'm wrong here, but for me, it's super hard to start up my next TV series, right? I could get sucked into a TV show. Like, every night I'm looking forward to watching it, even with like a book. I'll be like, oh, dude, what's next, But starting it, brutal, super brutal. And it's just because you haven't learned the rate of reward from that form of entertainment. And that's a super weird way to form what I'm talking about. I don't even know, this has turned into like player psychology or whatever you want to call it. That is a strange way to look at something, but I have to say, like, it's a thing, you know what I mean? And you just gotta, and if you don't like what it's given, then you don't like what it's given. I mean, you know what I mean? You can only give something so much time. But, when it comes to the things that you're like, sure you'll like, but you're just, for some reason, it just feels off. Yeah, it's because, you're not maybe accustomed to the rate at which the form of entertainment is gonna like reward you, I guess. I think that's a pretty strange way to look at it. But I think for this particular thing of what happens when you go from like this mindless gaming to try to go and intentionally game, I think there's a deviation there, and also just to retouch on the fact that even though you do mindless game, it's not an issue at all. Like, I do it all the time. I'm literally doing it right now. The point is, you have to make, I think, you have to make that differentiation, you have to make that difference. You have to make that difference in your head. Well, it's crazy. I wanted to add that ending on that. Yeah, you got to make that difference in your head. And yeah, if you don't make that difference in your head, you're just gonna feel like you don't like single player games anymore. That's the big thing I'm trying to get to. And that sucks. That sucks, because you do like single player games still. Single player games are amazing. They're insane. There's a lot of time and work that goes into them. Same thing with really long, with Game of Thrones. Like, you still like good TV shows. You just got to give Game of Thrones, like, you got to give it a bit. Let it sink in, So, yeah, and your comfort shows are still just as good. Excuse me. Jeez. Yeah, your comfort shows are still just as good. Everything, it just all has its place, and you gotta understand. You just gotta realize that. I think that's such a big thing that the video game industry, from the player standpoint of the video game industry, is that's what we're coming off of. You're coming off of the battle royales, and like the extraction shooters and the hero shooters. And if you're coming off of that, you can't go from, playing as the Hulk, 1v5 in a whole team, clutching up in OT, and then go and you're walking around Hogwarts, and you got to go to potion class. You know what I mean? It's gonna feel different. It's gonna feel different. You just have to understand that, like, and it's, sorry, I'm not yelling, but like, there is a difference in types of entertainment, and it's just, I think it'll help a lot if people realize that they have to make that, that very much needed difference in their head, that, there's just different types of games, and there's times for them, and it really helps if you go into the right headspace going into a game, so yeah, I don't know, was those last 30 minutes complete? Was that just complete a yap fest? Absolutely. That's why I'm calling in Yap and Game, because that's all I'm doing. I'm yapping and I'm gaming. Before I leave you guys, let me just hit something sick nasty for you live for the one time. Let me find a good spot. We'll go right here. Boom. All right, let's run this. But yeah, let me know how you guys feel about me doing this series. I know a lot of my stuff has been Unreal, like developer focused, and that is still the plan. I guarantee you. It just takes a lot more time than one of these episodes. I just like these episodes because they're going to be raw, uncut, and I get a little gaming break because I did just get off a little 8-hour dev sesh. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.